Hold on. So Linus made a video about the Steam frame.
Everyone knows.
Oh, he has one? They gave him one? Frick. How come Linus gets stuff and I don't? Why ever could that be? All right, let's see.
Everyone knows that outside-in tracking is just better for VR gaming. It's faster, more accurate, and it's more reliable. Well, here's the thing. Valve isn't everyone, and the new Steam frame took my expectations of a lousy, flaky experience in a standalone VR headset with camera-based positional tracking and blew them away. They also blew away my expectations for their new Steam Machine and Steam controller, but that's a separate video. We'll have that link down below. In 2 words or less, this thing is impossibly good. And maybe more importantly, impossibly versatile. They managed to make it lighter, more comfortable, and higher fidelity than the OG Index for PC VR gaming. They managed to bolt an ARM-based computer to it that runs mobile VR games and applications. You can even just sideload an Android APK. And the whole thing runs freaking SteamOS with a new element to their Proton compatibility layer.
When did Linus get braces again? I hadn't seen a Linus video in a minute. A couple months ago. Dude, I think getting braces at like when you're a little bit older and as your body is like developed, it's probably gotta hurt so bad. He's probably in so much pain. Like that's gotta be brutal. Cause like when you're younger, like your body is growing and it's...
The whole thing runs freaking SteamOS with a new element to their Proton compatibility layer called FEX that allows you to play desktop VR games. I'm talking x86 Windows VR games on your ARM Linux VR headset. I would mic drop this, but I think I'd get in trouble. The last part I wouldn't believe if I didn't experience it for myself, but they did all of this with latency that is indistinguishable from the best VR experiences that I've had. It's meant to be a standalone device that can also be enjoyed alongside your PC using wireless streaming for VR, which sounds horrible, but somehow it's not. Let's take a closer look at the hardware.
So I think that's why, like whenever we looked at it earlier and that quantization that I was talking about, I think that's why it's so good. And maybe I don't know if I misheard what he said, but it sounded like he's talking about how good it looks. That tech, where it tracks your eyes and you look at a certain point and it like puts more bit rate into that point is like the most layman's way that I could explain it.
Using wireless streaming for VR, which sounds horrible, but somehow it's not. Let's take a closer look at the hardware. Then we can talk about how they did it. The headset that I'm holding is actually made up of multiple components. The core module contains the
way
actual
more low
computer and weighs
profile
under
than the last
190
Valve
grams.
Index.
Then next is an audio module that can be detached with 3 clips under the foam gasket. Then there's the head strap and a battery pack that is cleverly positioned at the back to help counterbalance the device, improving comfort, and also to make it a little bit easier to cable manage if you wanted to have an external battery pack.
So that's huge, and I'll show you why. So I'm a MetaQuest enjoyer, as I've got my Boomer outfit on for Boomer Month starting now. MetaQuest enjoyer, it has this external battery pack, and it's actually massive for balance. Like you don't realize how big of a deal it is. I guess they baked it into the cost of this. So instead of having the option to buy it, they just make you get it to begin with, which is interesting. Naturally, I would think, okay, well, like let people do what they want with their money. If they don't want it, then don't make them pay for it. But also, sometimes you're like, hey, if we're gonna release this product, let's make sure that we put the best version of the product out there and there's one option, there's no confusion, there's no sort of like misrepresentation of how good something is or how good something isn't. I think it's like an interesting sort of like business marketing tactic in that it's like, okay, you go to In-N-Out, right? Whenever you go to In-N-Out, you either get a burger, you get the double, you get, you get what you get. Like the menu is like this big. It's just boom, right there. And you're not overwhelmed with all these options. Oh, do I get this one? Do I get that one? Do I get this one? And depending on the type of device and the type of product that you're trying to purchase, sometimes it's good to have a lot of options, something like a computer, I think. And then other times, something like, honestly, like even a phone, there's a lot of options for phones now. Something like this, it's just like, hey, when you buy like a console, I think there's too many options for consoles, right? And too many like gaming devices is what I'll call it. Different sort of handhelds, all that kind of stuff. I think having just, this is the one product and this is what it is and you get what you get and you will know what this is. And whenever people talk about this product, they talk about the best version of the product. So I think that's interesting. Anyway, continue.
The optics are, simply put, flipping incredible. Like other leading headsets, they're using pancake lenses, but unlike some other headsets that use pancake lenses, there was very little in the way of internal reflections visible in the demo applications that I use today. It is possible that with brighter light sources, it could show up a bit more, but that's going to be something that I'll have to save for the full review. What I can tell you is that under each lens is a 2160 by 2160 LCD display.
LCD
that's
is
capable
bad.
of anywhere from 72
the size
hertz,
is good.
presumably
Refresh
for power
rate is
saving,
good.
up to 120 hertz with a 144 hertz experimental mode, just like we had on the Valve Index. As for why Valve decided to use LCD rather than OLED, it basically came down to the light losses due to the pancake lenses. Ooh, since I'm pointing at them, on the inside of each lens, maybe you could even see them if you went cross-eyed enough, is an eye tracker that's obviously going to be great for social VR experiences, but perhaps more importantly, enables Valve to do what they call foveated
I didn't even think about them doing that.
Which I'm going to have to explain later because it gets a little in the
streaming.
weeds. First, let's take a look at the controls.
So I was talking about the quantization. Either foveated streaming is either the same thing or it's something completely different. Like I said earlier, I might be completely wrong. That was just my guess at what it is. They've told Linus, so Linus is going to talk about it later.
Valve fully acknowledges that these are very similar to other designs in the market, but they wanted something that was both great for VR and also great for your non-VR applications if you just want to use your headset as a giant virtual display. And they still managed to add some Valve touches to them.
I love the controller.
Capacitive sensing on all input surfaces
I hope it feels
and
good,
on the grips, so you can still do 5-finger tracking just like the Knuckles controllers from the Valve Index. They have 2-stage actuating triggers, 2-stage actuating grips, which unlocks a ton of control customization. They use the same magnetic thumbstick as the new Steam controller for better reliability and a very small dead zone. And they each have their own independent gyros that can be rebound for aiming or whatever you want. I can't tell if they were being suggestive there, given the popularity of certain VR applications, but I can't say for sure that they weren't. Both controllers have an integrated IMU to track positional data and 18 infrared LEDs that can be tracked by the 4 high-field of view cameras that are integrated into the frame's core module.
And then we're starting Boomer Month.
These were strategically positioned so that even if you were, say for example, drawing an arrow from a quiver, it should be able to maintain tracking. Now, I didn't get a chance to try that, nor did I get to fire up Beat Saber, my favorite application for evaluating controller tracking under extreme conditions. But from just shaking them around in the menu, they seem to track extremely well. Valve is claiming about 40 hours of battery life off of a single AA, and this battery compartment is a perfect transition into the customizability that's on display with this headset. They're going to have an optional accessory kit that includes knuckle straps for the controller, as well as a second head strap with a top Velcro piece if you like a bit of additional support. I personally liked it better, but I also didn't feel like it was necessary like it is on the much heavier Apple Vision Pro. There's a lot more to customize on the frame itself, too. It includes a spacer gasket for folks with long eyelashes and to improve compatibility with glasses, but Valve fully acknowledges that not everyone will want to use that because it does take away a little bit from their claimed about 110-degree field of view. So they are working on prescription lenses for the headset itself. We even saw a box of them, but there's no specific.
Now, did I misunderstand something? Because when he said battery, I assumed it was a rechargeable battery, but you guys are saying why not rechargeable? So let me go back and watch that again.
So they are working on prescription lenses for the headset itself.
Oh, prescription lenses, that's good.
But there's no specific timeline on that. IPD adjustments.
The controller has batteries.
Knob on the top that spins a.
So the Meta controller also has batteries, the Meta Quest. I think batteries are better than rechargeable because in my experience, having played with both the Valve Index with rechargeable controllers and the Meta Quest, yes, it's annoying to have to keep buying batteries or use rechargeable ones that you've already bought, but it's not like a PS5 controller or an Xbox controller that you can have plugged in and keep playing. When you have to have them plugged in and you're waving your hands around, that's just more cables. Like what happened to the Valve Index, you basically look like freaking Dr. Octopus because you have cables out the back, you have a display port and a USB and you have cables here, cables there. It just got really, really obnoxious. I do think just being able to reload new batteries in there is really the way to go. This is what would actually be really, really sick if somebody did this. It's too bad Valve didn't do this. Make the controllers have rechargeable batteries that it comes with and a USB-C port. So you could take those AA batteries out, replace them with fresh ones. Or you could have a rechargeable battery in there that you could recharge with USB-C if you wanted to. I think that would be sick, but I don't think anybody's done that. So anyway, let's keep watching.
cog on the core module, and this is really cool. Right between the goggles at the bottom here is an expansion port that allows up to 2.5 gigabit MIPI cameras, or a single camera with a PCIe Gen 4x1 slot.
That's big.
Allowing all kinds of possibilities for additional accessories.
That's
like if
big.
you wanted color cameras, for instance. The built-in ones are only monochromatic.
That's
Or
cool.
if
They
you
sent him a
wanted,
clear one that you could see through it.
Smell sensor. The sky's the limit. Since we're on the subject of the cameras, Valve says that they will work for inside-out tracking even in pitch darkness thanks to IR emitters that are built into the headset itself, and you can expect tracking performance on the order of
maybe not, Jaeger, but maybe there's a way they can figure it out.
250 updates per second, which is about on par with the Valve Index. Not something that I expected. Now that I've had a chance to gather my thoughts and eat some crappy airport food, let's talk about how Valve is delivering a PC VR-like experience wirelessly when big names like Apple and Meta have tried and never really succeeded.
Okay, so yeah, I'm really interested in this because the tech behind it is super interesting to me.
6 gigahertz Wi-Fi dongle. Valve built the headset with 2 radios and 2 antennas for Wi-Fi, along with a third dedicated antenna for your controllers or your Bluetooth peripherals. One of those Wi-Fi antennas handles 5 gigahertz for your game downloads, your multiplayer data, your voice chat, etc. The other one connects to a very high-end home router, or more likely, Valve's dongle using the so far mostly unused 6 gigahertz band. This is a perfect use case for 6 gigahertz, since it lacks the wall penetration that you might want for home Wi-Fi, but it excels at avoiding 2.4 and 5 gigahertz channel congestion while pushing huge amounts of bandwidth. With that said, while the theoretical maximum is right up there with wired connections, in the real world, it falls well short of that. So what's the secret? Foveated streaming.
Okay.
Seeing this in action blew my flipping mind. Basically, the idea behind it is similar to foveated rendering, where the headset tracks your eyes and tells your GPU, hey, only render the area of focus at full fidelity and save your resources on the rest of the scene. It's a technique that's been used to great effect on the handful of PSVR 2 titles that exist, but has been largely untapped on the PC side, largely because it depends on game developers to implement it. And also, most headsets don't have built-in eye tracking, so why would they bother? Foveated streaming then. Again, same idea. Focus your resources wherever the eyes are looking. Except in this case, it's not the GPU saving on rendering resources, it's the video encoding stream saving on bitrate.
So I think it does use the QP encoding.
High bitrate encoding, exactly where your eyes are looking, and then a little bit blurry everywhere else. At least in theory. In practice, it reacted so fast that no matter how quickly I tried to move my eyes, I wasn't able to catch it. But I also don't feel too bad about that. Valve put on an incredible demo for me in Half-Life Alyx, where they highlighted—
Yeah, look at this, look at this, look at this. Quantization parameter is used in foveated streaming to reduce bandwidth by applying a lower QP to a foveal clave. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what this is. That's so cool. So I've known about this forever. This is like the use case of it. Interesting. I was accidentally right, yeah.
A maximum fidelity window as I was looking around. And even though they say it's only about 10% of the total video stream, it ends up being a pretty large window. Wild. As for the encoding latency, well, thanks to some clever parallelization of the encoding, you can expect anywhere from 1 to 2 milliseconds of extra latency on a modern GPU, and 4 to 5 for a slightly older but still VR-capable one. Not enough to notice or to contribute to significant motion sickness. And it keeps getting better. I managed to get almost 50 feet away from the dongle without a noticeable difference in the experience. Now, granted, this is still line of sight, but it's a lot further than I can get with a tether. Now, I did bring up the possibility of more than one of these devices causing interference with each other, and Valve said that while they have operated multiple headsets concurrently in the same space, they haven't explored more demanding use cases like packed VR cafes.
Oh,
Moving on
yeah.
to audio. The built-in solution is both.
So let me tell you guys something. Whenever I'm downstairs, I use a wireless headset plugged into my Rodecaster Pro 2. I have 2 of them. I have one upstairs, one downstairs. And then I have these wireless mics. So if we're doing like a group stream and everybody's got the wireless mics on, we're only about like 20 feet away from the mixer, the receiver. there's so much wireless interference from the transmitters, from my headset, from this, that I get like, it's like really garbled. It's actually crazy. And kind of to his point about the Wi-Fi 6, like Linus made a really good point about Wi-Fi 6. This having a really good usage of Wi-Fi 6 because it won't interfere as much with everything else. But Wi-Fi 6 is not as good for like long distance Wi-Fi through the whole building.
And also a little disappointing. I'm impressed by the audio quality. They apparently had to use opposing drivers to cancel out the vibrations to make sure that the inside-out tracking wouldn't get messed up, and they sound fantastic. As for the mic, I didn't get a chance to test it, but Valve assured me that the mics should carry on the Index's incredible reputation for stellar microphone performance. I'm disappointed because I literally had the engineer who worked on the Index and this new headset in the room with me, and when I asked her for a gaming headset with all this same audio black magic, she just shrugged. So, sorry y'all, I tried. In all seriousness, the speakers don't fire directly into your ears, so there is a bit more sound bleed than with the Index, but it doesn't seem like a game breaker, depending on what you're watching and who's around. The last couple of experiences I want to talk about are a huge deal, whether you plan to use them or not. The first is Thex, an open source project that Valve has been contributing, and this is a quote, quite heavily to.
Quite heavily.
It's a translation layer that allowed me to experience a completely standard Windows x86 game, Hades 2 in this case, running directly on the hardware on the frame. I'm talking x86 code designed to run on Windows, running on a Snapdragon 8650 running Linux. Holy freaking mind blown. They're planning a compatibility list a la Great on Deck for the future. But wait a second, running on Linux? Yeah, Valve's been busy porting SteamOS to ARM. How did they drop so much news on one day? The frame does everything that you know and love about SteamOS, like fast suspend and resume and performance overlays.
Oh, he's talking about the side loading.
On your VR headset
Wait,
directly.
so does that mean you could, does that mean you could,
if you blinked, you might have missed it. With this new ARM...
Does that mean you could install Android on it too? Or just, like Linux, obviously, because it's SteamOS, is a Linux base. But could you also install Android? SteamOS on a pod with Android APKs? I mean...
Processor comes the ability to...
Oh, they mentioned Android. Oh, I didn't hear him.
Run Android APKs by directly sideloading them onto the Steam frame.
Okay, literally right after. Okay, sorry, that was funny. Let's go back, my bad.
Oh, if you blinked, you might have missed it.
He's talking to me.
With this new ARM processor comes the ability to, supposedly, run Android APKs by directly sideloading them onto the Steam frame.
That's
and
cool.
Given how many VR
I don't know. I wouldn't probably ever do that.
Devices,
that's super cool.
This is a colossal win. And with Valve's commitment to putting micro SD card slots on all their devices, it can't be too hard to install. Now, there are still scenarios where the frame...
Esfand single-handedly owns the ask questions to be answered market. It is kind of funny how often that happens. We'll be like, well, what about this? Can you do this? And then like, I'll watch a video.
Doesn't seem
it
to
actually
be
happens
leading.
fairly often.
The light seal isn't perfect.
It's kind of funny.
Especially if you compare it to the Beyond 2 with its custom 3D printed gasket. The pass-through cameras, they're just monochrome, so don't expect to be wearing your frame out and about like people did with the Apple Vision Pro for the first week or so. From my very brief and admittedly not side-by-side experience, it's also not the highest clarity nor highest dynamic range display I've ever seen, and it's not as light or compact as, say, the big screen Beyond 2. But it's the overall package that should have the entire rest of the industry stopping and going, how did Valve, who, as of 2021, supposedly had less than 350 employees, managed to outmaneuver monsters like Meta, who spent $17.7 billion on Reality Labs just last fiscal year? I would ask Gaben how it happened, but I'm pretty sure he's busy on his yacht. All I know is that I want...
That's our champion. That's our guy right there. Hearts in the chat for Gaben.
All I know is that I want one, whether it's for wireless PC gaming, native gaming on the road with minimal bulk in my bag, or even just relaxing on the couch watching movies on the big screen. What kind of sucker needs a big TV when this thing exists? So, with the frame clearly taking the place of the Index in Valve's lineup, what happens to all the users of the Index and, maybe more importantly, the third-party ecosystem that exists around its base stations and Knuckles controllers? The short answer is, the Index is EOL. But the long answer is Valve would love to see other players in the VR space approach them about continuing to support or even continuing to manufacture these devices. Whether that'll happen, I don't know, but at least Valve is open to the conversation.
Guys, I'm super excited about the Steam frame, the Steam machine, the new Steam controller. Like I said, I have the old one, okay? Linus had a lot of really good insight. He got a chance to look at all that stuff, and he's gonna look at the Steam machine stuff too, so we'll look at that tomorrow as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see you guys on stream. Everything is EsfandTV.